Welcome to Torah 2. How can we help Moshiach rule the world? The Rebbe explains that as long as we operate as agents of the leader of the generation, we can rule over the influence of exile and help establish the kingdom of God on this earth. We learned this from this week's Parsha Vayigash. A Parsha is divided into 7 portions called Aliyahs. In Jewish custom is Torah. The Rebbe points out that this week there are 2 instances wherein the Aliyahs are split mid-narrative. In the first instance, the second Aliyah ends as Yosef is telling his brothers, "But God sent me ahead of you to ensure that you survive in the land and to sustain you in an act of great deliverance." Now the narrative is paused for the next Aliyah where Yosef says, "Now it was not you who sent me here, but God. He, God, has made me a patron to Paro, a lord over all his household, and a ruler over the entire land of Egypt." The Rebbe explains that Yosef's brothers chose to be shepherds because this occupation does not involve a great deal of difficulty and allowed them to be removed from worldly affairs so they could concentrate on their continuous attachment to God. Yosef, on the other hand, was deeply involved in worldly affairs, culminating in becoming viceroy of Egypt, but remained connected with God. This is why Yosef told his brothers, "For the sake of sustaining you, God sent me." Yosef gave strength to the Jewish people to be connected to God even in a situation of exile. Now comes the split in the narrative, and Yosef tells them that he is ruler over Egypt. Yosef's name means to add, meaning to add another. Yosef had the potential of transforming the other, a person estranged to holiness, into a son for God. Thus, Yosef becomes ruler of Egypt and begins to elevate the Egyptians by forcing them to circumcise. He wanted them to recognize the 7 universal Noahide laws. Yosef went beyond simply trying to save his own spiritual connection as a shepherd. He went into the world and became its ruler. This is a quality only of the leader of the generation, a totally different level of divine service from his brothers. In the second instance, the third Aliyah, and according to some customs, the fourth Aliyah, ends in the narrative of Yosef's brothers explaining the fact that Yosef is alive and rules over Egypt. They told him, and he saw the wagons Yosef sent, and the spirit of Yaakov became alive. Then, in the fourth Aliyah, and according to some customs, the fifth Aliyah, begins with, "There's still great joy. My son Yosef is still alive." The Rebbe explains that Yaakov became alive when he heard that Yosef was not only physically alive, but also, more importantly, spiritually alive. Yosef had gone to Egypt, a cesspool of depravity, but was also able to withstand and remain connected with God. This level was similar to Yaakov's, wherein Yaakov managed to keep all 613 laws for 20 years in the house of the wicked Lavan. However, after the split in the next Aliyah, Yaakov is truly excited because Yosef not only managed to survive spiritually, but was also able to become ruler over the land of Egypt, something that Yaakov was never able to accomplish. Thus, the split comes to tell us an important concept. We must not only be spiritually alive in Egypt, but when we act as agents of the Yosef of the generation, the Rebbe, we have the ability to rule over the influences of the world. Thus, the Rebbe's directive is that all of us should spread Torah and Judaism and disseminate the wellsprings of Chassidus in all places and circumstances and influence the world to accept the commandments given to Noach and his descendants because God commanded them in the Torah and informed us through Moshe, our teacher. We must add, like Yosef, those who are strange to holiness to be drawn closer to godliness with ever-increasing energy so we can hasten the ultimate redemption led by Moshiach, who will rebuild the temple and gather the dispersed Jewish people and fix the entire world together to serve God in unity. May this happen now.